Breaking bread became the most powerful ritual in human history. Before Jesus went to the cross, he gathered with his closest friends for one final meal. The disciples had no idea what was about to happen, that this simple dinner would become the foundation of Christian communion for the next 2,000 years. Picture this. They're all reclining around a low table sharing wine and unleavened bread. The room is dimly lit by oil lamps casting long shadows on stone walls. And Jesus does something completely unexpected. He gets up, wraps a towel around his waist and starts washing their feet. The King of Kings on his knees cleaning the dirty feet of fishermen and tax collectors. Then comes the shocking moment. Jesus announces that one of them will betray him. You can feel the tension crackling through the room as each disciple wonders, is it me? When he hands the bread to Judas, it's a gesture loaded with meaning, both an act of love and a signal of what's to come. But the most profound part happens when Jesus takes the bread and wine. He looks at these everyday elements and completely transforms their meaning forever. This bread is my body, broken for you. This wine is my blood, poured out for many. Simple food becomes sacred symbol, a meal becomes a memorial. What's wild is that he knows exactly what's coming. The betrayal, the torture, the cross. Yet, here he is pouring out love, serving others, establishing this beautiful tradition that would echo through centuries. In those final precious hours of freedom, he chose to give rather than receive. The same meal we take in churches today traces directly back to that night. Every time Christians worldwide share communion, they're reenacting this intimate moment when divinity sat down with humanity over dinner. When the ordinary became extraordinary. When bread and wine became body and blood. That's the genius of it. Jesus took something as basic as eating together and turned it into a revolutionary act of remembrance. He knew we'd need physical reminders, tangible touchstones to ground our faith. So he gave us this meal, this moment, this memorial that we still share today. Bread has been a cornerstone of human civilization for millennia. In ancient Egypt, bread was so essential that it was used as a form of currency. The Egyptians even placed loaves in tombs to sustain the dead in the afterlife. Across the Mediterranean, the Greeks and Romans also revered bread, considering it a gift from the gods, essential for daily sustenance. In medieval Europe, bread was a communal affair, baked in shared ovens and central to village life. It was during this time that the concept of breaking bread became synonymous with fellowship and community. Moving east in Asia, flatbreads like naan and chapati have been integral to diets for centuries, often representing hospitality and sharing. In Mesoamerica, the ancient civilizations crafted tortillas from maize, another form of bread that held cultural and spiritual significance. Bread's role extends beyond mere nutrition. It embodies tradition, culture, and connection. It's a universal language of sustenance that ties us to our ancestors and to each other. So when Jesus broke bread and shared it with his disciples, he wasn't just offering a meal. He was tapping into a deep, historical vein of human experience, making a profound statement about unity, survival, and the sacred nature of sharing food. Bread's symbolism stretches across various religions, each imbuing it with its unique essence of sustenance, community, and spirituality. In Christianity, bread is central to the Eucharist, representing the body of Christ. This act of communion brings believers together, reinforcing the idea of spiritual nourishment and unity. Jesus isn't just sharing a meal, he's preparing them for what's about to happen. Every detail is intentional. The unleavened bread from Passover becoming a symbol of his sinless body. The wine representing the blood he'll shed the next day. He's literally holding the elements of his own death in his hands. The disciples couldn't grasp it then, but Jesus was giving them a way to stay connected to him long after he was gone. A simple meal became a profound spiritual practice that would unite believers across centuries and continents. Think about it. That table in Jerusalem started a tradition that's outlasted empires, from underground churches in Rome to massive cathedrals today. Christians still gather to remember what happened in that upper room. One meal, one night changed everything. Next time you take communion, remember, you're part of a story that started with 13 men sharing their Last Supper together.